Alrighty, y'all. Hello, and welcome back to a pretty ground-shaking episode, I'm told. This has been requested for a long time and somehow been overlooked. We are looking at an Audi, but we're talking about a really old Audi. As a matter of fact, this was called the Auto Union, so that's how you know how old this is. The Auto Union, basically racing car called the Type C. 1936, this thing is from. Holy smokes, it's almost 100 years old. And not only that, this thing has a V16? What? 30s. What a crazy time. Imagine making a race car back then and throwing a V16 in it. We have a lot to learn. This is part of our best sounding car series that's really just basically about iconic cars. And I'm really excited for this one. So we will look at just some small clips from a few videos and, of course, some info on some different websites and learn about this thing. Let's have fun and let's get straight into it. They will all be linked down below. So here is the car in question. This has been highly requested. Let's take a look. Thing looks like a speeding bullet, just sitting still. And look at that mighty engine. Oh, my God. V16, the only 16-cylinder I've heard of, personally. I mean, there might be more. I've heard of the modern, like, Bugattis, right? Like the Bugatti Veyron. Wasn't that it wasn't a V16. It was a W16, I think, wasn't it? This is an actual V16. What the hell? Look at that, Auto Union with the 4 rings. Holy crap. Oh my God, and look at these skinny tires. I mean, what was everything like in the 30s? What were these brakes even like? And suspension? You know, I mean, it's amazing that they could build something like this, period, right? Give credit where it's due. But, you know, to be fair, it's the 30s, right? It's not like they had suspension like the 80s, 90s, 2000s. We all know how stuff rapidly progresses. How scary. I imagine this might be a little harder than the average car. Rolling out the clutch, it sounded like there. I wonder how hard that clutch grabs, right? Did he stall it? Oh no. Look at this. Oh my God, they have to attach... Whoa, this is one of those old cars where they have to attach that like external starter, right? I don't know what you would call that if that's the right term. I think you know what I mean. Don't stall it. Ooh, is this at Spa? I spy the yellow and red barriers there. I could be wrong, but it kind of looks like Spa. Oh, it definitely is. We just got our confirmation there. Jeez, man. Okay, this one is an Auto Union V16, of course, same car or similar. Another example, maybe. Holy shit. Oh my God! What the fuck? Oh shit! The way that freaking thing sounds when it's far away. Okay, that might have been the loudest flyby I've ever heard with headsets ever. That puts a NASCAR to shame. That puts definitely Formula One to shame. That is through headsets. I literally can't imagine how hard that would rattle your bones in person. Holy shit, I had to literally pull these away. That was so freaking loud. Let me do this here. I'm gonna turn it down. That's a rare sight for me. But I love the sound. Don't get me wrong. I need to see this again and not have my brain melted. Hold on. Here we go. This is a little quieter, but let's see this again.
80 years ago,
Holy.
brakes into bottom S. Watch for the tail slide.
Okay, that thing is insane. Also, that other one didn't have this setup. This has dual rear wheels? Is that how it was? What a beast. What a concept. I guess they didn't really have fat racing slicks in the 30s yet, I suppose, huh? So they had these. They just said, well, we'll take what we got and we'll double them up. That's a good, I mean, it's what you could do, right? It's a good way to get a little better grip. I imagine this thing, we're going to look at some numbers. Hopefully we find some. Imagine this thing's hella powerful. And, well, let's be real. Looks like it'd be pretty hard to put that power down on those tiny tires. This car is insane. Look at the thing. And I was told this car was a must watch. And, I was told it had a 16-cylinder, and I'm thinking, geez, okay. I mean, definitely, right? I'm interested. I had no idea it was this bonkers, this absolute craziness. That might be the scariest car I've ever seen. And I mean that as a compliment. This thing is badass. Between the look of this thing and the sound of that shaking earth. Yeah. This is a car I could safely say I will admire from afar. I would never want to drive this thing. It looks absolutely terrifying. Okay. Fingers crossed. I'm gonna pray for me here. I have the volume all the way up again. I'm ready. I got my trigger hand ready here to pull it away. Holy shit! Oh my god! What the hell? Remember, these are all linked down below. You gotta check these whole videos out. And of course, browse their channels. I mean, yo, that is the craziest car I've ever heard. And that is saying something, right? This series has been so fun. Finding different cars, amazing sounds, and I want to rank them eventually. There are some amazing engines out there. Don't get me wrong. This sounds like it's straight from hell, dude. This is like so terrifying. Look at this beautiful environment, by the way. I wonder where this is. I'm going to guess this is like Austria or Switzerland, maybe. Like, look at those huge mountains. Just gorgeous. Look at the stance of this thing. Damn, it is literally like a speeding bullet with some dual rear wheels attached to it. That aren't very wide, by the way, but I suppose they do the trick. Look at this guy. If he's the one driving it, he's got more guts than I do. That's for sure. Imagine strapping yourself in. Look at how small this seat is, right? I don't see any 5-point harnesses. Oh my God, I'm not ready for this. Oh my God, this thing's freaking wild. Here it is. Look at this thing. Oh my God. This is so crazy. Can you imagine driving something that terrifying on a freaking mountain, on a mountain road. How freaking scary, and it's wet. Damn, look at that thing. I am in shock. That is one of the ranking these eventually. I mean, we're going to have to do multi-part videos where we rank some of the best cars we've ever heard. I tell you what, it's going to be hard because this might be, no, it's not a might at all. I mean, we've heard some crazy stuff. We've heard of the Beast of Turin before. We've seen, the name is escaping me. I think it was Brutus from Germany. We've seen some amazing race cars, Formula One cars, all these different things, right? I still think, NASCAR stock cars have sounded amazing for quite a while. They're really loud, and in person they do shake your chest a little bit, right? They're pretty freaking thunderous. Like I said, there's tons of amazing cars and engine and exhaust sounds out there. This is easily, though, like, I don't know how you would constitute the best sound, but I can safely already give this the stamp of approval for the scariest sound. This is just the most brutal, aggressive, like, devilish sound I've ever heard in my life come out of a car. It is absolutely wild. True definition of, oh, that car sounds like a monster. Yeah, that's this right here. We have an old picture. It looks like it came in single rear wheel variants and dual rear wheel. I'm not really sure. You might be able to explain that to me. I think these are pretty rare also. I mean, this program for these was between 33 and 1939. Of course, Dr. Ferdinand Porsche was involved upon, or maybe it was his design. They bought the design actually from him. The Auto Union Type B streamlined body was designed by Paul Jarret, Austrian engineer. That's cool. So yeah, they had a Type A, B, and C, and then they had a Type D in 38 and 39. That had a supercharged V12. Oh, so that's a little different. All right. But the Types A, B, and C had a supercharged V16. Okay, so it's not just a V16. It's a supercharged V16. Why the hell not, right? All the designs were difficult to handle due to extreme power-to-weight ratios. Wheel spin could be induced at over 100 miles per hour. You don't say. They were difficult to drive. Yeah, I would have assumed that. Think of this, guys. Wheel spin at 100 or 160 kilometers per hour. Come on. You don't have to be a diehard car guy to know that that is absolutely insane. Most cars, even a fast car you're driving, right? You're driving a fast car if you can gun it in second or third gear, and it'll get a little bit of tripping the tires while you're moving. That's how you know you're a fast car. It's hard to spin the wheels, when you're already moving, unless you're in a really powerful vehicle. I've never seen a vehicle, though, in my life that would, you could be going 100 and then nail it, and it's going to, still be able to induce wheel spin. That's absolutely just unbelievable. This car is insane. It's on another level. They also were prone to oversteer, of course, due to uneven weight distribution. Of course, the engine was in the rear. I mean, it is a bizarre design. It's beautiful and it's interesting. But yeah, it's a different time. I mean, you can't expect this to be 50-50 and all these things. I mean, this was early on for, I feel like, just racing. I mean, even though they've been racing cars since 2 cars were made, right? I think that's safe to say. They do say that Type D was significantly easier to drive than these early A, B, and C models. But these did win some races. Their main competition would have came from Mercedes-Benz. I imagine that was a hell of a rivalry. I mean, we're talking even back then. You could say this is a rivalry now, right? I have much respect for all the manufacturers from Germany, especially like Audi versus Mercedes. I think, at least in my head, that still is like a rivalry today, just for nice, luxurious cars, even down to the simplest level. That's a fun rivalry, right? So remember, Auto Union at this time was formed in 1932. And that was, of course, when four struggling manufacturers came together. And this would have been Audi, DKW, Horch, and look at that. It's pretty cool. And Wanderer. So there's them. DKW. Wow, look at that. And these, of course, became the modern day Audi. Auto Union would eventually just become Audi, even though they were also one of the original four. Now, these things were rated at around 550 horsepower. And horsepower is always an interesting number because I think we can all agree, I am not going to act like I've driven a lot of 500 plus horsepower cars in my life. I mean, I wish, right? But I've driven a couple. I've never driven anything more than, I think, 550-ish. I've never driven like a 600 or 700 horsepower car, but I could tell you that I think that out of the three cars I've gotten to drive that were around, let's say, 500 horsepower, they felt very different. One example I'll use is, I've driven a Nissan GTR on a track before, and that felt way faster, quite frankly, than a really souped-up Chevy Camaro I've driven. And that Camaro would have been within 10 or 15 horsepower number of the GTR I drove. And the Camaro, again, very fun, very fast as well. But it wasn't fast like the GTR was. And of course, without getting deep into it, it's because all cars are different. It has to do with suspension and, is it all-wheel drive? Is it rear-wheel drive? How many gears are there? What's the ratios, right? It goes deep into that stuff. So I think we can safely say that 550 horsepower honestly sounds kind of not a lot out of an engine like this, but you heard it. It sounded terrifying. So the horsepower number isn't terribly important here. This thing was hella powerful for the chassis and the time era it was in. And having an engine that big, a supercharged V16, is no joke. So regardless of that number, it's going to feel powerful and it's going to feel dangerous. It might as well have 1,000 horsepower. It's going to feel crazy like that. That's my take on it anyway. It had overhead cams, by the way. This is not a push rod engine. Single overhead cam, 32 valves. It was a hemispherical cylinder head, so you could say it's a Hemi, right? Remember, Dodge always loves to claim that, but there's been a lot of Hemi engines out there. They even did a demonstration where Bernd Rosemeyer drove an Auto Union around the Nürburgring in a single gear to prove the flexibility of the engine. This thing had some range, and it had low-end torque, so you could stay in a single gear, and this thing could really wind it out. I mean, that's pretty cool, dude. Cool, they have audio files on here. Let's hear the Type D. That was a V12. Sounds pretty awesome. I mean, they both sound amazing. Even that Type D, which was a little newer, and of course, in a 12-cylinder engine, still sounds badass, dude. And then finally, looking at some pictures of these, I mean, this is the one we've seen in that museum. And honestly, it's what I thought this was what we were looking at today. Then I found out it was this bullet-looking one. But look at this. I mean, that is absolutely crazy. This thing looks wild. That's from the 30s. It looks like a futuristic car. I love this thing. What a weird machine, man. Holy smokes. Now, of course, some of the ones we've seen, or maybe all of them, I'm not really sure. You might have to weigh in on that. A lot of these might have been clones or replicas, because I'm pretty sure from what I'm gathering here that these are really rare. Like, there was only a few of these built. I'm reading as low as 4 or 5 of these originals. But I tell you what, that is a hella interesting car. Another great episode with these classic, and very iconic cars with amazing sounds. This one just blew my ears off, literally. What a wild sound. I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say in the comments, any stats or stories about these cars. And of course, if you've gotten to hear this car in person, I can't wait to hear from you. Like, tell me what that was like. I mean, do you still have hearing? Did you lose hearing in your left ear or something when you heard this in person? What an amazing, group of machines, for sure. Just another example of some amazing German cars that are just so fascinating to me. And of course, Audi, they make some cool stuff, clearly. I appreciate you guys watching, and of course, the awesome suggestions you guys give me like this. So please keep it up. Hopefully, I'll see you in the next one. That's all I got for you here. My name is Ian. You're watching IWrocker. Until next time, y'all. I'll catch you later.